not only do you benefit from interacting with those elements and exploiting, taking advantage of, I don't mean exploiting in a negative way, but exploiting in a positive way, all of the advantages that they bring to bear, they also serve as a force multiplier.
Gaining the trust of the French resistance really in any kind of operation where you're working with an indigenous element in these kind of conditions is probably the first hard problem that the Jedburghs faced. Soon after the initial invasion, there were hundreds of airdrops of supplies. I think the estimate is something like 3,400 tons of equipment was brought in to fight and wage warfare in the rear area of the German lines. And this is everything from communications gear to small arms, ammunition, demolitions, etc.
Over a period of time, there was about 80 Jedburgh teams that were dropped in altogether between June and September of 1944.
The French resistance, aided by Operation Jedburgh, were intended to be the sand in the gears, if you will, and slow things down. And the estimates are that it was very effective. Some of the divisions that were intended to reinforce at Normandy were delayed by 2 days. Not a lot, but still significant if it's the right 2 days. But many of them up to 2 weeks. So it took somewhere between 2 days and 2 weeks for the Germans to get units to Normandy in order to stop the invasion at the beachhead. And in that time, of course, the Allies were able to bring capability over the beach, build on the beachhead they created on the 6th of June, and continually expand. And so it was pretty significant from a strategic perspective in making sure that the initial lodgment on Normandy Beach was successful. It really can't be understated the value of their effort. A small number, relatively small number, 300 or less of these Jedburghs and other OSS and SOE members on the ground in France, but facilitated really a strategic effect by creating a major challenge for the Germans in their rear area and the ability to execute their plan to defend the beaches.
Eisenhower actually said the support that they gave the Allied push was equal to 15 military divisions.
From an operational to strategic level, their significance and effectiveness was very high, meaning that any type of sabotage or subversion that they were able to execute during those times, it had significant and considerable psychological effect on the adversary.
The Jedburghs, who were the genesis of us sitting here today, were so effective that we felt it important enough to coalesce around that and build the Green Berets. You know, had it not been for their success, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking about what it is we're talking about or doing the things that we're doing.
The lineage of the Jedburghs today is alive and well in the pipeline of Special Forces, Green Beret, and the Army. They continue to demonstrate grit and perseverance under significant stress in uncertain environments. They develop regional and language expertise to be able to partner locally and develop what we call now generational relationships, because we've been doing this in some cases generations at a time. And I think the ability to work as a team still remains absolutely critical, much like it did in those early days of the Jedburghs.
If you look at the Jedburghs, like the composition of them, it's kind of fitting as we move forward and working with partners and allies in the traditional soft mission. So you had basically a composite of Americans, British, and French soldiers, of which a commander, a commo guy, but very small teams represented by all three nations.
The ability to come together, solve problems, so realizing that one person can solve a problem, but 3 or 4 people or 12 people can solve a problem much more effectively when you look at the problem through a different perspective and you put all your skills to bear on the problem to work together. So I think that's fundamentally where you draw a lot of the lineage back to the Jedburghs that still is alive today in the Green Berets.